With the completion of my totally refurbished bite-sized clown, there was one last test to see if it will pass. Today I'm joined by the man himself, Glenn, who has brought over his pristine original copy of a bite-sized clown, and we are going to see just how similar or different my remade bite-sized clown is. So today we are going to be conducting the ultimate test with my bite-sized clown restoration. How does it hold up to an actual original?
So a little bit of a backstory on how I got mine. I got mine in, I believe, 2021 from a local seller who I bought a bunch of stuff from. I bought my Zoltan from her. I bought like the Gemmy life-size posable skeleton, a bunch of other stuff. He was in his box, and I think he hadn't really been taken out of his box in years. The only thing was I had to zip tie the spring up on his back so that he actually sat up straight. Other than that, he's worked perfectly, and he's been perfect, so he's pretty much in mint shape. This is about as good condition you're going to get for a bite size.
So Glenn got his from a nice old lady, right?
She was like, I think 45 or something.
Nice old lady. I got mine from the scorching desert of Las Vegas, Nevada. And I know that I showed you millions of times now that I made a video on how I restored mine when I first came and how the neck was like totally detached from the body. It was so funny. It must have been left out into a window because only half of the face was dry rotted. But then I didn't really know much about dry rot. I thought as long as it was in my house, it would be fine. So I left mine up on display for like a year, and every day throughout that year, the sun peeked through the window and just absolutely beat down on my clown's face. Lo and behold, Halloween 2023, the whole face was just totally dry rotted at that point. So he has all new latex, and then his internals died, spontaneously combusted. So now he's running on an Arduino and objectively is better than any original. If Bite-Sized Clown were to be remade, this is what you would probably see. Well, probably not. They'd probably like make the sculpt like completely different. And it would look nothing like Bite-Size, like Charlie.
SVI would manage to screw it up somehow. We'll start with the hands. Now, like most clowns, Bite-Sized Clown wears gloves. He has a texture on his hands that's very, like... It's, I guess, very... I can't think of what it's similar to. Hold on. I'm going to think for like a sec.
Like gardener gloves. Gardening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. How did I not think of that? The gloves themselves are textured weirdly. It's very similar to like gardening gloves more than any other kind of glove that I've seen. And then the rat in his left hand, which most people, including him, thought was a knife until they bought him, which is... pretty understandable how you can make that mistake. Old SVI was pretty good about paint, especially when it came to black washing, and this is no exception. He's painted pretty nice, especially in the hands. The blood is a little goofy.
When I sculpted my hands, I wanted to make sure that the posability was very similar, so you could see that this hand is kind of like bending the fingers a little bit, and then the fist hand like holds the rat in a similar way and stuff. But honestly, they are quite different. I think this is the most different part on the whole clown, but when it comes down to it, everyone's going to be looking at the head. I, in fact, actually wanted to deviate and make that the texture on the gloves themselves were a little more apparent for the wash to stick out better and for you to actually see the texture. The hardest part for me was the painting process. I couldn't exactly nail the color. I think it's close. It also might just be because the texturing is just bigger, so like if you look at it from far away, the black wash that seeps into the crevices is more apparent, so it looks a little darker than the originals, which were a lot more whitish on a finish, I think. The rat is an obvious difference as well. Instead of trying to mix up a color that was exactly how it was, I got lazy and just picked two pre-mixed colors that were like Craft Smart acrylic paint and mixed them up with the latex and stuff. It's close. I kind of like the pink being a little more vibrant. I don't know why, but I just do. I think the dark blue is close enough as well. The thing that I really wanted to improve upon was the blood. I was really in awe of Distortion's Unlimited mixture of food coloring and Liquitex's gloss medium paste. And that's what I used for the blood on mine. And I think it actually looks a lot better than the red paint, to be honest with you. It is glossy. It looks like dried blood. It's really a darkish, like just what dried blood I think would be. Like I said earlier, it's not going to really be the hands that people are going to be looking at. Is it, Glenn?
No. Now, the bite-sized clown's head is very characteristically old SVI, where it's not quite human, but it's not quite so cartoony that it's off-putting. It's just right in the middle, except for Wacky Mole, but that's a different beast.
He only has 4 fingers.
He only has 4 fingers, so we're not counting him in this conversation. Now, the bite-sized clown is not exactly proportioned like a human. A lot of that also comes down to the fact that when these are taken out, they tend to deform because there's no foam filling to back it up, like YJ used to do, where they would have foam and it would prevent their props from deforming because it would have something instead of just the latex to be able to back that up. Very crooked teeth on this guy. Blood on his mouth has the exact same issue as the blood on the rat, where it's just red paint that's kind of dribbled on there. And it doesn't look as bad as some others. I think Uncle Charlie has the worst of that because not only is it just red paint, but it's coming out of his gums. It's not even coming out of his teeth. The paint overall on these guys tends to be pretty consistent. Mine has some very, very light eyeliner. I don't know really why mine does. It's just, I guess, slight paint variances. The face itself doesn't really have all that much in the way of blackwashing for the most part, other than like some of the places where you would expect there to be deep shadows, like under the cheeks, which, by the way, extremely pronounced cheekbones. I have to add that. He's got like the Abraham Lincoln face build. Another interesting thing is that this was back when SVI didn't like print on eyes or anything like that, so you can see that there are visible brush strokes in his eyeballs where they painted on the pupil. That was something that I always thought was very nice. On a lot of old SVI props, it's like,
seems customized.
Yeah, it's cute. It's very cute.
Not corporate.
Exactly. Now they sold out.
They sold their souls.
Yeah, to make works of art like nozzles.
So like Glenn was saying, quality was a big concern with these original bite-sized clowns. Just looking at the original right now, I'm already seeing deviations between this one and my original one. The face around the eyes and the cheekbones right here are very, very like vertical, almost like flat. Like it's like you could hold like a ruler up and it would all like line up nicely. Where with mine, the eyes are a lot more recessed into the like eye sockets, I guess, and the cheeks are outwards up here, whereas down in here it's like all recessed more. So there was a lot of not quality issues, but just variances between this batch, or like this one and then that one. They're totally different, and that has something to do, I think, with how it was stuffed. If you go online and just look at bite-sized clowns, a lot of them look very different. Some are a lot better than others. I would say this one is probably one of the better ones, if I'm being real. And that's because how they filled these was, like Glenn said, not foam filled. It was very cheap, I would have to say. It was styrofoam balls that were like very tiny, and then just pillow stuffing inside of that. And that's where the deformities really started. Because at the very start, the latex is very thin. Whereas with this one, I make it so it's foam filled, so it's all very squishy and it just goes right back to how it was. Consistency, I think, would be a very, it'd be very consistent, that's what I would have to say. Because it's foam filled and it's a very good amount of foam all the way around, and the latex itself is very thick as well. Just looking at these two, I look at mine and the paint job just seems a lot more vibrant. It looks like I turned up the saturation like all the way to the right. Also with the blushing, the color is a little different. It almost looks like an orangish pink on here, whereas mine is more of a magenta, I think. The mouth, I think, is fairly close. The thing that makes mine look a little different is the blood. Again, the blood is the food coloring Liquitex mixture. And again, it just looks a lot better in my opinion. The teeth, I think, are pretty accurate in the coloring. However, my teeth are a little less sharp, I think. They look a little flattened out. I haven't learned how to perfect the teeth yet. Another thing is that, like, well, if it doesn't look 100% accurate, it could potentially be because of, like, the one that I was basing off all the measurements on looks different from this one, and then it looks different from the next one, and the next one, and so on and so forth. They all look different. Just looking at the neck here on the original, it's almost like buckling on the side because, again, it's just the latex that's really holding it up. There's no foam backing structure, really. And that's the same with the chin and just a lot of things. Just looking at like different clowns, it's just however the weight is resting on itself, I think, in a way. So yes, I think overall, while they are different, I think mine captures a good amount of what the original had to offer. I'm very happy with it. Are you content? Are you content? Do you have contentness?
I think you did great, personally. I think Apache Halloween
Let me just get that closer to the mic. Can you just say that again?
I think Apache Halloween is the best sculptor on the Halloween market.
Just for the record, okay. All your sculpting buddies are gonna be like,
This guy did 2 things and they were copies of other things.
But it was here in my endeavors that tragedy struck. If you watch my previous video on how I totally redid this clown, you would know that the circuitry totally died on it. And that is where our next segment of this video is going to go.
Early SVI animatronics are notoriously simplistic, and he is no exception. He's probably one of the most simplistic ones, actually, considering the fact that he only has one soundtrack. He has the one soundtrack, and he does one animation, and he has one motor, and he has 2 lights, and that's pretty much it. He's basically just a bigger zombie baby. He has one of these weird SVI barrel light sensors that tend to not work the best, but yeah, overall there's really not much to say in his activation, which makes it very convenient when he blows up and you have to recreate everything from hand.
Like me! In case you didn't hear, my bite-sized clown probably blew itself up. It killed itself.
Yeah,
it did. Itself. Because I didn't do anything. I didn't spill a hot cup of coffee on it.
I did.
I just let it do its thing, and it was done. It retired after 15 years of constant shaking and animation. It just couldn't take it anymore.
It actually happened the day we were initially slated to record this video. Pretty much right before I actually came over here, he texted me and he was like, hey, my bite size died. You don't need to bring yours anymore.
But thanks to the wonderful world of Arduino coding,
I was able to copy and paste code.
It wasn't copy. No, I changed some numbers. I did a little stuff. You know, I got the try me function to work, and that was all on myself. I made a whole software thing in the Arduino IDE, prototyped it. I was proud that I got the try me button to work on its own. Everything else was stolen. I'm being real. But due to the fact that I had to redo him, obviously I'm going to give him some upgrades. Actually, I was going to try and use the old light sensor just because that's how he was. And when I couldn't figure out how to just use the photo resistor on its own, I basically threw the desk upwards.
It's pretty impressive because your desk is like bolted to the floor. I don't even know how you did that. It was crazy.
So when I couldn't figure out why the light sensor wouldn't work, I just gave up. I gave up, and I used an IR sensor, which some will say it's an upgrade, but I think it's a lack of my integrity.
No, it's just an upgrade, dude. I just complained.
It's not original anymore.
I just complained at length of how terrible this thing is.
You'll see why it's an upgrade, I guess. But yeah, so basically he's an original bite-sized clown with the exception of having an upgraded sensor, and he runs on an adapter anymore because the batteries for some reason wouldn't work with it. So I scrapped the batteries and now it's a 6-volt 2-amp adapter like any modern Spirit prop. Spirit Halloween, if you're watching this, please commission me to make a new bite-sized clown for 2026, please. Bite-sized clown 1, 2, 3. Like I'll mark on the mask which one it was.
That would be cool, honestly.
One thing we noticed when we activated them for the first time was that the audio on mine is actually louder for some reason. The speakers are the same. I used the same speaker. I didn't change that. But he is a little louder, which, you know, in a haunt and there's a lot of things going on, that's not a bad thing. Yeah, I'm kind of happy that the thing blew up on itself. He's just better, I think. Objectively, he's just getting better. I don't know.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I was originally made it so that all the plugs would like be able to unplug so that one day I could get an original circuit board and put it back in there. But now I'm like, you know what? Forget the old circuit board. I don't need it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you recreated the clown.
It was good. It was successful. I was probably thinking like it's not going to be the same or whatever. I messaged SVI asking for a sound file for the bite-sized clown, and the response I got I wasn't too happy with. So if anyone has an audio rip of the bite-sized clown, please send it to me. We do not.
I'm sorry. This is an older SVI prop. We do not supply parts anymore.
It's like literally the oldest one.
Yeah, I think it was on year 2 of them making it.
It's like year 2. They're still trying to figure stuff out. How do we make clown? Enough jabber-jawing. Let's just actually like watch these two in action and just see how they work, because I think that's the best way. We'll let you decide what the differences are. You are all intellectual, very intellectual. You probably can't hear me, but if you can, I'm going to turn on the clowns now. You got like different just things to put in your mouth. It's so funny. You have like popcorn and now you got milk. Next thing you have like a full-on steak. Yeah, so if you could see there, the clown, my clown. Of course it's my clown. My beautiful boy.
My gorgeous son.
I'm gonna say, my gorgeous son. I'm your favorite son. This one did all the heavy lifting. It's just the audio file is just louder. I don't know if it was the file that I picked from the YouTube video or what. It is just louder, and it's good. I'm happy with that. I did have to slice off just a little bit, most amount of audio, because in the video, unfortunately, no offense to the YouTuber, like, I subscribe to him and stuff to pay my respects for using his audio file. But he's just like, there was a little flashlight click. So I had to cut that out just a little bit. So yeah, I was using the Try-Me remotes on it, but now we're gonna probably unplug the Try-Me remotes and just use the sensors and just see how good of a sensor there are. So let's do that now. Unplug yours and I'll unplug mine.
Okay.
Struggling here. Alright. Oh, I unplugged it.
Oh, you can go over how yours has a weird start.
Oh, yeah.
Animation.
Yeah, so for some reason, I don't know if it's the code or what, the first activation, he'll like just be quiet. It's like the sound file doesn't kick on. I don't know why it does that. I don't know if it's me being a bad coder or if whoever I stole the code from was a bad coder.
So it's not mine.
It's not my fault. So it takes about like 45 seconds or so for it to fire up. See, it's like quiet, dead silent. Now that one's doing the heavy lifting.
This is the only time when mine will be louder. It's carbureted. You need to let him warm up on a cold start.
But now he should work. Let's see. There we go. So obviously the sensors are different. Let's put them to their ultimate test. Kill the lights! I'm on the mic. Alright, I'm gonna walk past and we're gonna see which one activates. Let's see. Now, could your original bite-sized clown activate in the darkness of night on Halloween night? I think not. I hope it works. Oh no. Oh, it did! Woo! It scared me for a second. This one can't activate in the dark of night.
Fun fact about mine and how bad the sensor is, during my Glen with One End's haunted hallway haunt at the nursery I work at, even in a room with blaring, flashing lights, he still never activated one time. And he was on for like the entire 2 days of that thing running. Not at all. Never. Not once.
So there is the video you were all waiting for. Is this bite-sized clown better than the original? It's up for you to say, but if I'm being honest with you, if you say no, you're wrong. You're wrong, okay? You're just wrong. I want to say thank you to Glenn for lending me his clown to do this video on, because it was fun. I was really quite scared that he was going to bring it, and it was not going to look anything alike it. It would be like, well, there goes that video idea. But it's cool. It's awesome. I'm so happy to have this clown back alive after all of the trials and tribulations I went through. I'm content. I am happy. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I bet you've never seen a bite-sized clown this up close before, but now you have. I'm happy to have wasted 30 minutes of your life, and I'll see you all in the next one.